The Uttar Pradesh Law Commission has come out with a new population control bill that proposes people with more than 2 children will be debarred from contesting local body elections, applying for government jobs and receiving any kind of government subsidy. Those that follow the 2-child norms will get additional perks and privileges, including additional increments and a higher pension. The Congress and the Samajwadi Party have hit out at the Yogi Adityanath government's move, calling it undemocratic and polarizing just ahead of Uttar Pradesh elections.
Uttar Pradesh, country's most populous state. Nearly 20 crore people live here, accounting for country's 16.5% population. UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has unveiled population policy for the year 2021-2030, aiming to curb the rise in population. Hum do, hamare do is the motto for UP's population policy. The UP population policy focuses on having 2 children and provides incentives for people who help in controlling the population. It also states that those having more than 2 children will not be allowed to apply for government jobs, and those who are already inducted won't get promotions. In addition to that, it bars people from contesting local elections and provides a proper system for safe abortion. Speaking at the event, Yogi Adityanath emphasized that interests of all communities have been taken care of in the new policy.
ये बढ़ती हुई जनसंख्या विकास में कहीं न कहीं बाधक हो सकती है। जिन देशों ने और जिन राज्यों ने इस संबंध में अपेक्षित प्रयास किए, उसके वहां सकारात्मक परिणाम भी सामने देखने को मिले हैं।
Crucially, the population policy incentivizes those who have 2 or less kids. Priority in government job, rebate in home loan, and benefits in admission, treatment and insurance are some of the key incentives. Yogi also said that rising population and poverty are interlinked and are affecting growth. With only months left for the state polls, opposition is calling it a poll gimmick.
उत्तर प्रदेश में इस समय चुनाव होने जा रहे हैं और इस उत्तर प्रदेश के चुनाव में ये फिर से विभेद पैदा करना चाहते हैं। ये बिल चुनाव की संध्या बेला पर क्यों लाया जा रहा है?
Crucially, NCP chief Sharad Pawar called population control need of the hour. But religious leaders have mixed reactions.
जो भी कानून आए सबके लिए एक समान आना चाहिए। ऐसा ना हो कि बहुसंख्यक समाज के लिए तो कानून लागू हो जाए और कुछ ऐसे लोग हों जो इस कानून का पालन ना करें। जो भी बिल सरकार लाएगी हम सब लोग उसका समर्थन करेंगे, हम सब लोग सरकार के साथ हैं।
It's not just one blanket solution that you just bring in a policy and it's going to stop at that level. Because the more you educate people, the more they become aware, automatically it becomes a voluntary decision.
Population explosion is a big problem in India. With over 1.3 billion people, resources are limited. It also estimated to surpass China and become world's most populous state by 2027. With inputs from Samarth Srivastav in Lucknow, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's dive straight into the debate. Is this move well-intentioned to ensure that there are resources available to all, or is this politically motivated and anti-Muslim as alleged by some? Joining me on the show, Juhie Singh represents the Samajwadi Party, Anila Singh is the spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and Manisha Priyam is here to help us analyze this current situation. Juhie Singh, India's population is expected to surpass China, some say in 7 years, others in 9 years. Resources are scarce. They will be under more pressure in the years to come. So what's wrong about this population control bill?
Gaurav, there's nothing wrong with the bill. I don't think the bill really addresses the population dynamics and the population demographics. And also what we are really against is the disincentive, because we are actually penalizing the economically weaker sections, the people who really need the incentives from the government. Of course, it's up for discussion. The Law Commission has put it. I think what Yogi has really put it is a long-term policy, which he has set a target of 2026, where the fertility rates, which are already declining or stabilizing, should be got down. We have to take into account that the replacement rates, what are they? And of course, the literacy levels, the awareness levels, the sex ratio is something very important, which I don't
so
think
you're
this
saying
bill
there
is
should be
addressing.
no penalty, there should be no, you shouldn't penalize anyone.
In the government jobs, there are no government jobs anyway. So you are just putting it as a gimmick there. I mean, is there one government job there? Ration
Anila
is what
Singh,
you are
it's a
penalizing.
gimmick. Respond to criticism. One, it's a gimmick. And when Surendra Bhadoria says, or others say that, it's all about targeting the minorities, unveiled with an eye on elections just about 6 months away.
First of all those people, Gaurav, who are saying that it is about the minorities, especially if I talk about Muslims, I think it is absolutely clueless, baseless claim and blame they are making. It is, we are talking about our nation, we are talking about our state, and nothing is above our nation, nothing is above our state. And we must understand one thing, like if we talk about any leader who has got strong political willpower to deliver, I think most prominent thing is his intellect, his energy, his willpower to deliver things, and his personal attributes. But the thing is, what we had seen earlier, the political heads of Uttar Pradesh and barring Bharatiya Janata Party in the center, we have seen that these feudal dynocrats, they have done things for their own good, for the political brownie points, but they never thought about the country. I mean, a country which can sustain only 40 crores of people. We're seeing its area. Today we are more than 140 crores. And just now Mrs. Juhie Singh, she was mentioning about the statistics of the population of our state. I have got statistics in front of me, and more than 56% of women in my state, they have more than 2 children, more than 3 children. So
is education the key, or is penalizing required? Manisha, Priyam, India's population will be 1.5 billion, will surpass China, and will be 1.64 billion by 2050. We have 16% of the world population and only 2.45% of the global land. Is population control needed? Is this the correct approach, ma'am?
So I'll begin by accepting partly Anila ji's statement that yes, it's not targeted at a particular community that I will not name, but some political critics are naming. I don't think any state targets a policy on one particular community. If it does, then the courts don't uphold it, because the Constitution of India calls for formal equality, and irrespective of sex, color, caste, creed, race, religion, there is formal equality, and therefore the policy cannot be ipso facto said to be directed at a community. Now, however, having said that, let me tell you that I couldn't find a more misdirected policy than this. If you find, let's not go abroad. Let's not always keep comparing ourselves with China. China is not a country I even want to look at, right? Now, I want to look at my own Bharat, and let me tell you that states like Andhra Pradesh have been able to control their net reproduction rates. And what has been the investment? The investment has been that if you increase child life expectancy, if you decrease maternal mortality, मतलब बच्चा जन्मने के समय अगर माँ मरेगी नहीं और बच्चे की जिंदगी लंबी रहेगी, these two data points prove incontrovertibly that parents start producing less. Now that is the first investment Shri Adityanath Yogi ji should have made, कि maternal mortality को बिल्कुल negligible कर दें, आंध्र प्रदेश rates पे ले आए, and child survival rates को both require investment in health. So first investment should be in health. Now these kind of policies that if you have children, even before I've made this policy, if you have children, I will not promote you. These things place the onus on citizens rather than the state doing something. Policies should be intended at states doing something.
Anila Singh, respond.
And let Mr. Yogi Adityanath be asked as to what he's investing in terms of health. Corona, his child encephalitis in Gorakhpur, everything will be resolved. Mothers will survive giving birth.
Anila Singh, quickly respond. Quickly respond to the point that Manisha Priyam has
give us health infrastructure. we will produce only one. If that is what helps.
Right now, Gauravji, what Priyamji has said right now, Gauravji, is theoretically very correct. She has given an example, and that too of a southern state. We cannot compare southern states with Uttar Pradesh at least. We know it very well that what Uttar Pradesh is, the size, the population, and the type of governments we had earlier in the state. I mean, can we deny that these were feudal dynastic governments which we had? The thing is, yes, infant mortality should be reduced, maternal mortality rate should be reduced, we should have better health infrastructure. And I promise you, Yogi Adityanath ji is doing everything on all these parameters. When we came into power, we know it very well that what type of deaths we used to see in and around Gorakhpur area. So now, hardly, I mean, negligible, I can say.
Okay.
And the huge vaccination program is on. Almost 100% vaccination is being done regarding kids. But the thing is, yes, it's a huge state, and lots of effort and time is required for that. And this policy is till 2030. And if things improve and if we see many things happening, which Ms. Juhie Singh and Priyam ji is talking about, definitely, it can
Juhie
be stopped.
Juhie Singh, you agree it's wrong to look at it either from the perspective of elections or religion. Population control is the need of the hour. This bill provides incentives to small families. It doesn't say incentive to a Hindu family or a disincentive to a Muslim or any other family member.
Gaurav, I agree with Manisha ji. There are no religious undertones, and I don't think that Anila ji is so innocent that she will say that 4.5 years now we are due for elections. Into the reign, Yogi Adityanath suddenly discovers that he needs to put this policy in place without addressing the fact that sex discrimination is still going on. The sex ratio is extremely skewed towards women. Child marriages are very much rampant. How do you address that? And this is not my study. I mean, maybe some different data is available with her, but I have the UNICEF data. So address these issues, and penalizing the people who need the ration. There are no government jobs anyway. So that's the gimmick I'm talking about. He can put it there. What about the women whose fertility rates? That's the reason you address the fertility rates of the women going down. Get them into the employment circuit. Make them economically empowered, and your policy will be achieved. Nobody denies that we need to address this population issue, but we are not into a population explosion at the moment. We are stabilizing, but also we have an aging population. So
but Anila Singh, you know, India is also a signatory to the International Conference on Population and Development Declaration 1994, and this honors the right of a couple to decide on the size of their family. Now, will this bill not take away from that right of a couple? Let them decide how many children and what difference between, time gap between the two children. Or more.
You are absolutely correct. That is why till date, I think so, Centre feels helpless in making any such policy or act. You are very right. In 1994, a pact was signed, but this particular subject comes under concurrent list. That is why the states are free to act on it. And I think this is the call of the time, and UP really badly requires. And even I have got data in front of me about women of Uttar Pradesh. I mean, almost 9.53 crores of women are in our state. And if we talk about women who have two or more children, there are only 44%. 3 and more, almost 56%. So women are not machines to produce children.
Manisha, Priyam,
children. We need much more qualitative life for them, and for that, this policy is required.
You're saying the policy is required. Education is the key.
Required.
Strong action and education. Is education the key? Should government have focused on education, healthcare, and healthcare that you also spoke of, instead of just incentives for those with small family in terms of promotion and higher pension or local body elections, and a disincentive for those who have more than 2 children? Manisha, Priyam.
Yeah, Gaurav, you've made those points very well. And let me tell you one more thing. Most of these, Anila ji, the figures that she's given you, if the figures are 56% for 3-child households, it's without doubt that across religions and castes, this phenomena is happening. My sense is that a lot of the rural areas would be predominating with these numbers. Now, these are people who require a larger family to be able to hold on to their subsistence agriculture. These are families where the illiteracy angle also leads them to hanker on for a male child. And if you have a girl child, you go on. These are also families where you're not sure that if you have fewer numbers, how will you cope with household risk and vulnerability? Now, policies of the state ought to look at household risks. Policies of the state need to do away with social stigma on the girl child. Policies of the state need to invest in mother and child health. Policies of the state cannot be looking at things like this. And for God's sake, China, I thought, was not a democracy. And China, I thought, was one of those countries that wanted their girls to wear iron shoes because their feet could not be a particular, size, and thought that iron caging of girls should be done. China is a country that is now reversing its one-child policy. For God's sake, this should be the last time that we look at China for a state-level policy to be done in India. And this kind of incentivizing and disincentivizing, let me tell you, will find it very difficult to go to the deliberation of the courts also. Forget the courts. It does not appeal to logic and reason that when health is a priority, education is a priority, Beti Badhao, Beti Bachao is the priority. Really, these elements of central policy should be taken in by Uttar Pradesh, the state, rather than writing a new script. For God's sake, Sanjay Gandhi was the last person who talked about such type of policies. Is he a man that we want to emulate in India?
But the fact also remains, and last 30 seconds that I have on the broadcast, Anila Singh, first the conversation about Uniform Civil Code, now conversation about Population Control Bill, both before elections. Now, is there merit in the opposition saying, you may not say it, but this is systematically targeting one community?
No, of course not. See, first of all, I totally agree with Manisha, Priyam ji, that we cannot compare China with India. No, I mean, they both are totally different countries. So definitely, in making this policy, UP has not considered or has not made China as its example. So this policy has been made according to our own requirement. Our needs are UP's requirement. And secondly, we talk about timing, Gaurav. I mean, in Uttar Pradesh in 2017, we came into power. And that if we would have come up with this policy in 18, फिर सब लोग बोलते 19 में चुनाव है, इलेक्शन है, 2019 जनरल इलेक्शंस. 20 में we came up with two very strict laws. That is about anti-conversion and Damaged Property Act. We came with these two very strict acts, and we know it very well that what type of halla-gulla was made by the opposition. Then 21, we have come up with this policy. 22, you are saying elections are there. If, like, I'm 100% sure we are going to come back in 22. If you would have brought this thing in 22 or 23,
so it remains to be seen
that 24-hour election. That is why you are
so there is a debate that is on. There is a debate that is on all sides. I've run out of time on the show this evening, but we'll be tracking the story very closely. Manisha, Priyam, Juhie Singh and Anila Singh, many thanks for joining me here on India Today. A quick break. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay with us.